if you look at the things that we then talk about, this is all very hard. Why have we not all done this already? If it's that simple, in the way we've talked about the business challenges and the fact that software is already available in the market. And it's, you know, it's because we don't actually understand a lot of these things at a technical level. Richard Neal talked about governance, business change, sponsorship. Do you know the two greatest, hardest challenges we face when we deal with a project is corralling the intellectual knowledge around the key KPIs from the 12 brains that sit out there in the different functions organisationally in the hierarchy and consolidating it into one business information scope. And then the second challenge is where does all that data sit at a transactional level that will support those information questions that need to be addressed in terms of question and answer to change value. So one is the information scope, dashboards, reports, business views, and then the big piece is all this stuff that sits below what I describe as the waterline. How do we corral that data into that single automated informational integrity, one version of the truth? And these are the challenges that we all face today. Now, issues aside, this is content, subject-based around delivering a project. There are another set of challenges, which I'll talk about in more detail later, which Richard has faced with John Thompson, which are, you need to get the business to commit. Now, you can't do bottom-up. You can do operational reporting by business functional area. You can say, did you realise that my debtor ledger is on an average of 75 days? The business plan says 45. So we've got 30 days out of kilter on an average value of the debtor's ledger of, let's say, £50 million. What's the impact of that on cash flow and available cash to invest? That's an operational issue that has a strategic impact. You might start by saying, how is my 5-year strategic financial and business plan working today, and how is that being interpreted operationally? That's top down, that's bottom up, but they have the same level of impact if they're not in alignment. So, who spoke earlier on? Oh, Richard, you mentioned about the cost of licensing. There's a perception that software is more expensive than the value that is derived. And I would be happy, and anybody from visualmetrics can talk with you around, you know, SAP licensing, value to derived information against the cost, because this product, the software product, is becoming slightly more affordable, no doubt about it, but the product doesn't fix the problem without defining the problem first. So let's define the information problem at the business level, let's define the information problem at the data level, and then let's invest in the software that we can then apply to address those problems. Richard also talked about different users have different roles. I won't speak totally out of court. If you go and talk to a salesperson from a software vendor, their only interest will be to just sell you software. Integration companies like visualmetrics will want to make sure your investment in software is appropriate and you execute value, because we're in for a long journey. And lots of our clients have what we describe as shelfware. It's not because the sales guy has missold you, it's because sometimes the customer is an enthusiastic buyer. But when you were looking to architect and build your house, you wouldn't go to Travis Perkins and start to select the colour of the brick, or what style of the bathroom would be, or the kitchen. You'd go and get an architectural, functional, technical blueprint. And those things are very important in the life cycle of delivering a BI or a performance management project. So, this Richard Neal, on the right, talked about this as well. Richard Bailey and I and John Thompson also talked about this. Many organisations are executives who make decisions without context because they're in isolation of the information. The strategy not only it's not articulated, it's not integrated with an operational performance. What's worse is because the business functions have given up on the executives not being able to apply that level of integration, they go and DIY. So the finance function, do you know what? They're the greatest data analysts in the world, and they're Excel jockeys, and they've got access databases coming out their heads, and they go, you know, if the business can't give it to me, and IT are doing something over there, I'm going to do my own thing. So let's DIY. And I've got my financial information silo, so I'm okay, Jack, thank you very much. But what happens when you need to look at those financial KPIs applied to something to do with customer sat and something to do with supply chain and blend them all together? You almost might as well work for different organisations. And therefore, you've got misalignment at an organisation level because nobody's connected. In a finance world, if you look at it, this is a debtor's ledger analysis. What are the business objectives and issues around an FD driving out maximised cash flow? I need to know what my actual expert target is. That's a good starter for 10. What are the overdues against all of that? And get some information insight. Let's drill into this information cube and understand how we can change the long overdue, unreasonable debt that people are ducking. Who are the customers? And let's segment that by time and look at trends. Is it the same customer? Is it a one-off transaction? Is it small value, high value, low margin, high margin? High value, high margin, same customer, multiple periods of time. They're the negative trends you want to understand. Drill to those details and then segment that as a set of tasks for people in your finance function to go and execute against. You cannot do that by starting with your chart of accounts and your general ledger with an Access or an Excel query environment and start in the dirt and try and build your way up. You have to start at the information layer and drill down. So, the bits that you need are a set of analytical, pre-developed dashboards, reports, a business view of the world, and then what you need to do is deliver that in a user-friendly way. There is, I'm going to use a technical term, metadata. Metadata is a description of data about data. Think about a dictionary. A definition is what the word means, the word, and the description is what it is. Too many people in the world of performance management, business intelligence, build information about information at a technology ground level up rather than a business view, KPI, definition down. As soon as you create those definitions in a user interpretable way, you get better value out of the user's role, you get better usage, better buy-in. The third thing you need to do is personalise it. Richard mentioned about Facebook, Twitter. The world of information consumption now is not about the intranet. It is not about SharePoint. It's about delivering in a user-consumable way a defined desktop that when I walk into the office tomorrow morning, I'm positively motivated to sign up to my information portal and make a difference positively to the way the business operates. Underneath all of that, we've got to deliver the data integration layer at a technical level that allows those people to walk in the morning knowing when I sign in at 8:30 in the morning, the information is current, it's accurate, it's relevant, it's timely, and I have absolute confidence in its integrity. So, a presentation layer, a semantic layer, the metadata that is derived by dimensions, hierarchies and measures, and Richard will live this with me. We are not telling you for one moment that it's a 10-minute job, because Richard's definition of something to do with aged debt at an executive level might be very different to somebody else further down the functional hierarchy, but you have to absolutely agree those data definitions, because without those, you will not deliver value. Is that fair to say? And it's an iterative process. And by the way, even when we agree them, in 12 months' time, when government changes policy, the industry regulator changes policy, the executives decide to go and acquire an organisation, we restructure operationally, we grow 35% organically, those things have to flex. So the way we design these applications have to flex with all of those internal, external forces. So I suppose this is one of my favourite slides, this. Because what really we're all interested in is the top 10%. The dashboards, the mobile access. We've now built mobile applications, and absolutely Richard Neal was correct. It will be not a trend, it will be an absolute tidal wave driving value out, because everybody has got an intelligent device in the pocket, be it an iPhone, an Android, a BlackBerry, and consumers will want to have information access. So that layer is where the sex and sizzle is, and that's where the business objects platform sits, at the what I call the viewfinder. You know, we're looking through the sea, I'm a fisherman in a boat, and I want to see, are there any fish under the water or not? But the water could be 2 inches deep, it could be 20 fathoms deep. There could be 2 fish, there could be 2 million fish. And until I get underneath that waterline, into the iceberg, I don't know. This is where the challenge lies. The BI deployment layer, in terms of information access, is easy. Getting the functional scope, the technical integration done, is where the tough work is. And one of the technical sessions downstairs with Dave Pugh was all around data integration and data quality. And it's the not sexy bit, but it's actually the really, really important bit.